Hello friends, welcome back to another Value Vintage Cards video. So in this one I want to share, really it's just one recent pickup. So I think this one is, it's not an enormous pickup, but it's definitely not small either. But it is a new player to my, all-time MLB Hall of Fame player run. And it's only the second card I have from this set. So I wanted to kind of highlight this one for a couple reasons. One, I'm just thrilled to have it in my collection. But also, second, when I brought this player and card up to a good friend who I would say is probably in the fairly elite level of knowledge of not only pre-war cards but Hall of Fame players, baseball history. Brought this up to him yesterday, and he said, I think I've heard of him, but not super familiar. And I thought, it's really probably where I was, except I'm doing this little extra deep dive. Clearly, I've never seen him play, so it's nothing that I can say I can relate to, other than the fact I've maybe done a little bit extra reading and a little bit extra, diving in. So I'm gonna turn the camera around and highlight the card in this one and explain not only a little bit about the card and the set it's in, but probably more so about the player. I think that's really the kind of biggest, most fun part of the pickup. So let's take a look. All right, folks. So I'm going to dive in a little bit here to the N284 gold coin, which is a tobacco set, 1887. So this one goes way, way back into the, this is the ultimate pre-war. It's pre both big wars. So I've had the O'Rourke. That was a really treasured pickup that I was able to find. And just yesterday had the big Sam Thompson delivered. So neat set. There's about 140 cards, give or take, I believe, in this set. There's various poses. You can probably tell by the images they are fairly general. They're not specific to the person. So you'll actually see, if you see like a hands cupped image, you're going to see that being different people that look exactly the same. So they don't really specify it too much to each individual person. So I'm not sure if they used a particular player as the basis and then just said everyone else is going to look like that guy, or what happened here. But that's what the back looks like. Both of mine are ones. I have not looked up the population of the O'Rourke, but I know they're tough. I've definitely had some O'Rourke family folks reach out. Wanted to focus on Thompson. And you can see in the background there the images. So the mustaches and the images really aren't too terribly off for these two players. There's a King Kelly in the set. There's some different ones. And a lot of these players, some will have just one pose and some will have multiple. So the hands cup is cool. Kind of looks like, catcher pose of the day. This one's neat. It's the original air guitar pose, I think. I think everyone that sees that's going to say that's an air guitar image, which probably is not the case in 1887. So kind of a unique choice of a pose there. This one's all kinds of crazy and off. About things we might change in the hobby. This one definitely has some staining, smearing, smudging, whatever on the image. It's it's not centered. It's not well cut. It's not a whole lot of things that we might pick on if it was a 1964 tops, but being that it's an 1887, the Sam Thompson population, PSA has graded 4. SGC has graded a whole bunch of them. They have 14. So we can safely say that there's not a lot of them. I don't know if there's a ton ungraded somewhere. They're really not that insanely expensive. You can get commons for well under a 3-figure price. But again, there's some big names. O'Rourke's a big Hall of Famer. Sam Thompson, it's my first Sam Thompson card. And so those can go for a touch more. But Sam Thompson, Just a little bit about him. He was born in Indiana, which is instantly a neat connection for me. He played for the Detroit Wolverines, and then the Philadelphia Phillies and the Detroit Tigers. So he did not reach the Hall of Fame until 1974, which I thought was kind of interesting and surprising. His career average is .331, so exact same as Stan Musial. Again, I know era is tough to compare, but .331 sounds pretty solid to me. 126 home runs, 1,300 RBIs in his career. He was the batting champion for the National League in 1887. He won 2 home run titles, 3 RBI titles. So something else I thought was really interesting. He reached 20 home runs one year, and he became the inaugural member of the 2020 Club. So, we have Ohtani doing 50-50 and Canseco 40-40, and 30-30 is kind of the benchmark of a guy that can run and hit some bombs. But he was the original 2020 member. So, going back just a few minutes for that. His .331 career average, RBIs, his career RBI to games played ratio. He has 1,305 RBIs, but that's in 1,410 games. So he averages .923 RBIs per game. In 1 year, this is really crazy. 1895, Thompson averaged 1.44 RBIs per game. So he had 166 RBIs. That wasn't broken until Babe Ruth in 1921 had 168. But you talk about like the Roger Maris asterisk, because he got, 8 extra games over what Ruth had. So Ruth did that in 152 games. Thompson did it in 127. So he passed him by 2, having 25 extra games. So pretty elite, hitter for the day. It's also funny, he was Big Sam. Aaron Judge is, 6'7"? Big Sam was 6'2". So definitely, it's just so fun to dive in and see the, kind of older stories. But he was born in Danville, Indiana, so very small town. Typical of the day, decent size family. At the age of 24, he was working as a carpenter and working on a roof when they came over to recruit him. So his career in baseball really didn't start till he was in his mid-20s in terms of a professional status. So a little bit of a later start, which, again, back in that era, because you weren't necessarily paid, he said he was really torn whether or not to give up his career as a carpenter and doing roofing to switch over. So another kind of connection to myself. So I always like when you can relate to people in different ways. It sounds like his post-playing days career was also pretty successful. So he worked as a real estate investor. Post-playing days, he was financially fairly well off. He was appointed a U.S. Deputy Marshal during World War I. Worked as a crier in a courtroom. So he was well known and well liked around Detroit. So absolutely a local legend. So played there, amazing playing career, and then stayed there and served in a kind of civil servant government type role. But just wanted to really share, again, some of these older sets. This is like Orlando's wheelhouse, getting into some of these cool old sets. And some of us, pre-war fans. I'm not going to collect the set. There's 140 and it's outside of baseball and everything else, but just really, really neat cards. So the more you can dive in and learn not only about the card set, but get a little bit of a idea of who the person was, who the player was. Again, that's, it's a messy card, but that will probably be my one and only Sam Thompson. I believe he's got an old Judge and he's got a couple other sets you can pick from, but when you get into these really, really old time, pre-World War I era cards. You don't get to be picky. You find it, you snag it. I think there's actually been 2 sales of that card this year, so that's a high volume year. They're really turning over right now. So I was really happy to snag one, and it was an interesting process too, because I was following it on eBay, asking price way too much. They sent me an offer, so I knew there was a little bit of flexibility there, and I said, yeah, still way too much. Then he put it for auction, and I still was following it, but it was starting ask was too much. And so I just sent him a very kind message, and I said, I see there's a recent sale. I'd be willing to work with you if you're flexible on your price. So I sent him kind of what I was willing to do, and he said, well, let me drop the price on the auction. If I get no action, I'll get back to you. And he got back to me, and I hope eBay doesn't watch my videos, but he got back and said, I've got it right now. There's no bids. I've got it available on my slabs for a different price. But if you send me an offer on there, I'd be willing to accept at what you had mentioned previously. So I shot that over to him. He accepted. So he had a little bit of a win because he didn't have to go through the FeeBay process. And, I guess so far we're under the radar until I publicly announce it and broadcast it, and now we're all in trouble. So, hopefully not. But My Slabs is cool for that. I actually was just questioning whether or not they're still up and running, and clearly they are, because, Big Sam was added through that source. So, that's Big Sam Thompson. Definitely you could do a half-hour video just on Big Sam, and you've got his postcard in the back there, and Hall of Famer, another one that's tough to cross off the list, and a cool set that I now have 2 from. So happy to have the addition. So maybe you learned something new about Sam, or about the cool tobacco series from 1887. I will see y'all on the next one. Thanks.